If this is you, you should definitely pay off your mortgage. There's just no two ways around this. And so right now I'm doing an amortization table, and I'm only doing in terms of annual payments, not monthly payments. So it's not quite specific, but it gets pretty close. We have a $500,000 mortgage. All right, we got a 6% as our interest. All right, so 500,000, 6%, or amortizing over 30 years. Our annual payment is about $36,000 a year, or $3,000 a month. All right, and you can see of that initial payment, $29,832 is going to interest, and only $6,100 is going to principal. So we're only able to reduce our principal down to on $36,000. We only reduced our principal down to $493,000. So everybody and their mom sees that. They say, "Oh man, that sucks." On top of that, if I had a $500,000 on a side note, and I'm getting 4%, I made $20,000 of interest. Well, I made $20,000 in order to pay $29,000. So notwithstanding liquidity and things of this nature, this wouldn't make sense. I'm paying $20,000 to get $29,000. Over the course of the loan, it would make sense because actually I'm getting $600,000 of interest, assuming I get a 30-year income CD or a 30-year 4% CD or a 30-year fixed rate bond or something like that. And I'm actually only paying $579,000 of interest. So in this case, it makes sense. I get $600,000 of income. I pay $579,000. Of course, this income is taxable. So after tax, it doesn't make sense. But just pure numbers here. It would make sense for me to borrow at 6% on an amortization table over 30 years and invest at 4% unequivocally because I get more interest than I get more interest than I pay. But no one's going to really do that. I mean, you could do that, but there's a lot of issues about, especially liquidity, about doing that. So, I'm not sure I want to do that. Take $500,000 of all I got, pay off my house, and not have any liquidity. I don't think that's a good move. But anyway, most of my clients are kind of down here in the latter part of their mortgage. And so let's just say we're in a year 25. You say, hey, man, I'm still paying my $3,000 a month, but notice of my $3,000 a month, $25,000 of that is going to my principal. Only $10,000 is going to my interest. So you're like, only $10,000. On top of that, my $500,000 is still paying me $20,000 a year of income. So in that case, you're like, hey, I might as well keep it. I'm doubling my interest is doubling what I'm paying to the stupid bank. But that's not actually how you should look at this. So what we should look at is we had to pay $10,000 of interest on a $180,000 debt. So we started the year with $180,000 left on our mortgage. Over the course of the next 12 months, it cost us $10,000. Which meant that the carrying cost of this $180,000 debt was 5.61%. Again, I started the year, this is the ending of the last year, also starting the next year, with $180,000 balanced. It cost me $10,000. Had a sneeze, COVID, monkeypox, it cost me $10,000, which meant it cost me 5.61 was my interest, all right? So you could say, hey, I'm getting 4% on my $500,000. We wouldn't look at it like that. You say, I'm getting how much on my 180, my 150, well, actually 180 right there. Because remember, that's how much we started the year with, all right, for this year right here. We started the year with 180 on our balance sheet, on our debt. It cost us $10,000 of interest. We started the year over here with $180,000 of assets, and we netted, let's see, how much did we net here? $6,200 of interest. Or $7,200 in interest, excuse me. So it cost us more interest still than we netted because it's a 6%. Even though it's not really 6%, the loan was a 6% amortization. So even though I'm not paying 6% anymore, I'm still paying over, what did I say, 3 or something like that? Where do we start here? 5.6. 5.6. I'm still only getting I'm still paying 5.6, but I'm only getting 4%, if that makes sense. So 4% on $80,000 gives me $7,328. 5.6% on $180,000 nets me whatever it is. I can't remember what I'm talking about. I'm confusing myself, but you get it. I'm still paying more interest than I'm getting from the bank. And so even though your interest payment is lower relative to what it was, it's still higher, most likely, than what you're getting in the bank. So I was talking to a guy the other day, and he has just a couple years left on his 15-year note. I think he's paying 3 7/8 or something like that. I said, yeah, but he's still getting 4 1/4 at the bank. So we're basically breaking even net of taxes. So I'm okay with you not paying off your mortgage. But it's just a matter of how much interest am I paying versus how much interest am I getting. if I'm paying more interest than I'm getting, and now I have the liquidity, and i.e. that if I spent $180,000 to pay off this loan, I still got $320,000 of liquidity. You should absolutely pay off your mortgage, man, unequivocally. Now, if this is all the money you got, don't. If this is, or if you expect to get more than, in this case, 5.61, I got all Bitcoin, I expect to go to the moon, then you shouldn't pay off your mortgage. But at the end of the day, from a pure cash perspective of save money, 4.25% versus a mortgage at 5.75%, even though the mortgage rate itself starts at 6%, but it's just a matter of my interest payment versus my principal versus my interest I could get off my principal. If the interest I could get off my principal is lower than the interest I'm paying, then you should absolutely pay it off. A little bit confusing. I probably confused everybody. But, if I confuse you, just give me a thumbs down. Thumbs downs are just as good as thumbs up. All right, God bless. Love your thoughts. We'll see you.